Welcome students. Today we will start the new chapter chemical thermodynamics or extensive or intensive properties. So thermodynamics means this is combination of two terms. That is thermo means heat or energy. Dynamics means movement. That heat movement means heat transformation. Combined that heat transformation. So in this way we have come across chemical thermodynamics, means the heat involved or the energy generated or absorbed in case of chemical reactions, that is known as chemical thermodynamics. So it has got the relationship between heat and other forms of energy in bulk matter. That means this cannot be applied to individual atoms or molecules. It can be applied to a bulk substances, that is macroscopic properties. Before going to start the thermodynamics, we have to know some definitions of thermodynamic terms. That is, first thing, that is a system. What is a system? System means it is defined as the part of the universe which is taken for thermodynamic. It is part of the system which is taken for thermodynamic study. Thermodynamic study means that is, it has got a definite amount. It has got definite amount, fixed amount. Similarly, you have to know what is surrounding. Surrounding means whatever the substance or the matter we have taken into consideration, that is separated from the rest of the thing. That is the matter which is considered for thermodynamic study is separated from the rest. That is known as surrounding. From the rest means whatever things we have taken for thermodynamic purposes, thermodynamic study purposes, that should be separated from the rest of the things, whatever the surrounding it is. Then we have to come across what is open system, closed system. Open system. Open system means which can exchange both matter and energy with the surrounding. Which can exchange both matter and energy. with the surrounding. Then closed system. Closed system means which can exchange only energy but not the matter. Which can exchange the energy but not the mass of the matter. That is the closed system. Then isolated system. Isolated system means a system which can neither transfer its energy nor matter to the surrounding. That means it cannot transfer neither energy nor the matter to the surrounding. This is isolated system. Now, considering all these things, we have also come across the state of a system. What is the state of a system? State of a system. State of a system means it is thermodynamically defined that the properties such as temperature, pressure, volume and composition. Composition means either in concentration or in the amount, whatever it is taken, and these are interdependent and they are called the state variables or state functions. That is a system which can thermodynamically defined if some of the properties, that is these properties defined as the temperature, pressure, volume and the amount. Amount means concentration, which can dependent or independent, which may be dependent or independent of some of properties. With the sum of properties within the system, which are called variable functions. These are called variables, or these are called state functions are known as state functions. State functions, and within this we have also depended upon the initial state and the final state, but not the intermediate state. So, it is dependent on the initial and the final state, but not any intermediate path. So, this is called the state functions. All these are known as the state functions. So, within this we have to know what is extensive properties and intensive properties. Then we come extensive properties. Extensive properties, that means this property depends upon the quantity of the matter present in the system. This property depends upon the quantity of matter, such as mass, volume, energy, mass, volume, energy, and heat capacity, etc. What does it mean? That means the total value is the sum of all the values of separate parts in which the system is divided. So, it is the sum of all the separated parts involved in a system. That is extensive properties. What is intensive properties? In this case, intensive properties, these are the characteristics of the substance and independent of the amount of the substance present in the system. This is the characteristic of the substance and independent of the amount of the substance. For example, it is temperature, pressure, surface tension, viscosity, specific heat, etc. So, these are coming across the extensive properties and intensive properties. Then we have to come across the thermodynamic processes. These are all involved in the thermodynamics. Thermodynamic processes, here we will have isothermal process. Isothermal process means the heat remains constant or the temperature remains constant. In this way, the temperature of the system remains constant, In that cases, heat can flow from the system to the surrounding, but heat can flow from the system to the surrounding, but temperature remains constant. That is why it is known as isothermal process. Then adiabatic process. In this system, that heat can enter and leave from the system, but temperature gets altered. This is known as adiabatic process. That is, the process carried out at constant heat. That means the heat remains constant, but temperature gets altered. This is the adiabatic process. Then isochoric process. Isochoric process, in that case, the process carried out at constant volume. The process carried out at constant volume. This is known as isochoric process. Then isobaric process. That is the process carried out at constant pressure. So there are the 4 thermodynamic processes in this, but another term is that cyclic process. What does it mean, cyclic process? That means the process carried out from the initial position and continues with various steps and then again coming to this original position, that is known as the cyclic process. That means the process which is carried out starting from starting from the initial position and come across so many steps or paths and ends at its initial position or state is known as cyclic process. So, to have all these terms, thermodynamic terms, we have across this system, surrounding, and the state functions, states, and various thermodynamic processes. In that cases, we have to know that what is a reversible process and irreversible process. Then reversible process. What is the reversible? That means the process which is carried out by just in a manner in which the driving force is only the infinitesimally greater than that of the opposing force, then it is known as reversible process. That means the process carried out in such a manner in which the driving force which may be infinitesimally greater than the opposing force. So that the system can be continued. This is known as a reversible process. And irreversible process, that means which is not carried out in the above way, that the process which may not be carried out in the above manner is known as irreversible process. So, all these are the thermodynamic terminologies we have come across to derive first law and zeroth law of thermodynamics. First, we have to know what is zeroth law of thermodynamics. So, zeroth law means we have to know thermodynamical equilibrium. That is a system which can be itself come to a state of equilibrium, that is simultaneously existence of the equilibria such as mechanical equilibrium, which is uniformity of pressure, thermal equilibrium, which is uniformity of the temperature, and chemical equilibrium, which is uniformity of composition, all constitute to be thermodynamic equilibrium. So, from this we have to know what is zeroth law of thermodynamics. Zero law of thermodynamics. In that cases, if two systems, if A and B, there are two systems. Two systems are in equilibrium with system C. System C, then both the systems A and B are also in equilibrium. Are also in equilibrium. This is known as the zeroth law of thermodynamics. But to have the first law of thermodynamics, it is the relationship between the internal energy, the amount of heat absorbed, and the work performed. That is the relationship it gives, the relationship of internal energy, heat absorbed, and work performed. So, thus it gives the conservation of energy. So, it justified the conservation of energy. What does it mean? That means the energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only transform from one state to another. What does it mean, the conservation of energy? That the energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but can be transferred from one state to another. So, this follows the conservation of energy. What is that internal energy? Internal energy is the energy carried by all the atoms or molecules in a system. then the amount of heat. So in that cases, we have to know that we have mentioned that it is a state function. It depends upon the initial state and the final state. Let us take A is the initial state, B is the final state of, it has got the internal energy EA and the internal energy of B is EB. So, whenever it comes to A, transforms to A to B, that means it achieved the final state B. So, the change in energy, let us take that is delta E equal to the final state EB minus EA. If this process is carried on, that means the change in energy will be the final state minus the initial state. If this process is carried on reversibly from B to A with another path, then from change in energy, the delta E from A to B, then change in energy, that is delta E dash. Let us take delta E dash, that is from B to A in another path. So, it is EA minus EB. That means if we start from this, we reach there B, and then another path we come to the initial state. It is path 1, path 2. Two states and two paths we have indicated. So, there is the change in energy from A to B, that is delta E, and here the change in energy delta E dash. So, two possibilities are there. Either this delta E is greater than delta E dash, or delta E dash is greater than delta E. So, which is possible and which is the more relevant in this case? Let us take, if delta E bar is greater than delta E. What does it mean? That means if this continues in a cyclic way, so this as delta E dash is greater than delta E, some more energy will be generated or formed, so that if the cycle is continued, some energy may be created. Some energy may be created, but if you come to the conservation of energy, that is, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. That means here, if this system continues in cyclic process, this goes to against of the conservation of energy. So, this is the faulty assumptions, so that in any way in a cyclic process there will be no generation of energy. That is the first law of thermodynamics. So, as we have already mentioned that this first law of thermodynamics is the relationship between the internal energy, the work performed with the absorption of heat. So, in that case we can derive the first law of thermodynamics depending upon the internal energy, the amount of heat absorbed and the work performed. Let us take a system absorbs Q amount of heat and performed work W with the expense of energy. Therefore, delta E is the change in energy which is equal to Q, the amount of heat absorbed, minus the work performed. So, what is that delta E? Delta E is that E B minus E A, that is the final state minus the initial state. In that case, we have performed, or we can transfer the energy from position A to position B. So, this equation is known as first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. In some cases, that is, if heat is transferred from the surrounding to the system, that if work is done by the system, then this W will be negative. If work is done by the system, then work is negative. Therefore, delta E is equal to Q minus W, that is equal to Q plus W. So, here this work is taken to be positive here, and work is done on the system, then work is positive. If work is done on the system, then W is positive. This comes the first law of thermodynamics. Then we have to know what is enthalpy and or heat content. Enthalpy. Heat content. Suppose a work is done, if you have changed the volume or changed the heat, then accordingly we have to know what is the work done or work performed in this. So, work is due to either change in volume or change in heat content or heat. So, if there is no change in volume, then whatever the energy, that is equal to the heat content. So, at first case, the work is done with change in volume. Work is done with change in volume. But if there is no change in volume at constant volume, what happens if the volume remains constant? Remains constant, what happens? That is, the energy delta E equal to the amount of heat absorbed. So this is considered to be EV, or the heat absorbed is the delta E or EV. Now if this change work is done at constant pressure, what happens? Second thing, at constant pressure. So in that cases, there is a change in this process, the volume changed from V1 to V2, two states, and P remains constant. P remains constant. So QP, the amount of heat absorbed, QP, what is that? That is equal to delta E plus work done, that is P into delta V. P into delta V. So let us take, this is E2 minus E1 plus P into V2 minus V1, or it is equal to E2 plus P V2 minus, by opening this, minus E1 plus P V1. So it is the final state, and this is the initial state. So two states are there, final state, and this total is known as heat content or enthalpy. E plus PV is known as heat content or enthalpy. Or heat content. So what does it mean? That the heat content is the energy, the sum of the energy and the pressure with the volume. That is known as the enthalpy of the process. So considering all these things, we have come across that may be represented as in the other way, H2 minus H1. So E plus PV is taken as enthalpy H. So H is the final state and H1 is the initial state. Now considering all these things, so work is done in the reversible and irreversible process, and there is, as we have come across, the chemical reactions. Chemical reactions, that means the heat of formation, heat of reaction, and heat of combustion, that means enthalpy of combustion and enthalpy of neutralization. All these things are involved in the heat content processes. So in that cases, we have to come across the enthalpy of formation. Enthalpy of formation, suppose we have reactions such as carbon, that is solid, with oxygen, that is gas, forming carbon dioxide. Second, suppose we have taken hydrogen gas with the oxygen gas, forming water. Third, suppose hydrogen, that is gas, chlorine, gas forming HCl. So, in that case, three reactions I have taken, that is carbon reacts with oxygen forming carbon dioxide, hydrogen with oxygen forming water, hydrogen chlorine with forming the hydrochloric acid. In that case, the amount of heat delta H formed is 393.5 kilojoules per mole. And here in this case, delta H is equal to 2 molecules are formed of water. So, 572.4 by 2, that is equal to minus 286.2 kilojoules per mole. And here delta H equal to 184.8 by 2, that is minus 92.4 kilojoules per mole. So, what happens that it is defined as the change in enthalpy with the formation of 1 mole of the substance, and whatever the amount is generated or formed is known as the enthalpy of formation. Similarly, enthalpy of combustion. Enthalpy of combustion. In the first case, what is that? The carbon solid with oxygen forming carbon dioxide. So, delta H equal to minus 393.5 kilojoules per mole. Similarly, sulfur, monoclinic sulfur, oxygen forming sulfur dioxide gas, delta H equal to minus 300 kilojoules per mole. So, in that case, what is? So, when 1 mole of the substance, is completely burnt in presence of oxygen, whatever the amount of heat is generated is known as enthalpy of combustion. Similarly, enthalpy of neutralization. What is neutralization? Neutralization is the process in which acid is neutralized with a base. Suppose we have taken HCl, sodium hydroxide. What happens? It forms sodium chloride plus water, and the amount of heat generated, delta H equal to minus 57.2, 57.3 kilojoules per mole. What is that? That means 1 molecule of the acid is neutralized with 1 molecule of a base, and the amount of energy generated is the enthalpy of neutralization. So, considering all these things, enthalpy of formation, enthalpy of combustion, enthalpy of neutralization, and all these things, we have a general term coming. What is? That is the amount of heat generated. In that cases, all the cases, we have seen that amount is generated in something that is exothermic reactions. But in some reactions, in that case, the amount of heat is absorbed, that is known as the endothermic reaction. In that cases, the delta H is positive, here the delta H is negative, because in that cases, the product value, whatever the product value is obtained, in that case it is attached with the formation of heat from the reactants. That is why the amount of heat is more than that of the internal energy or internal amount of heat in case of the initial substances. So, all the cases what we have observed that this is the amount of substances reacted and the product is formed with the combination of heat is absorbed or heat is formed, that is the exothermic reactions or endothermic reactions. But in other way, so if the process is carried on either in one step or multi-step, suppose we have state A and state B, we will come across the state in path 1, it is the path 2, 3 steps are involved from path 1. If we start from A to B in path 1, whatever the amount is of energy generated or absorbed, that should be equal to the multi-step processes. Whatever the processes means, or in single step or more than one step, more than single step processes. So, it is the sum of the energy or the amount of heat produced or absorbed should be equal to that of initial state and final state. That is known as Hess law. So, we will have Hess law. It is the summation, law of constant heat of summation. Heat of summation. So, in first step, suppose A to B, Q amount of heat is absorbed. In the second state, from A to B, 3 steps are involved. Let us say it is Q, it is Q1, Q2, Q3. So, from A to C, C to D and D to B, it is Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. That is the sum of energy. Either it is the process is carried in a single step or multi-step processes, so that the amount of heat is generally equal with the initial state and the final state. So, the heat is the heat energy, heat content involved is equal to either the single step, either the heat formed in a single step, or in multi-step processes. So, it is the heat of summation in that case. So, whenever you have to calculate any thermodynamical system of enthalpy calculation, so in many cases we cannot calculate directly from state 1 to state 2 or from initial state to final state. So it can be involved in any other processes. Any other processes means that is the process carried out indirectly to calculate the. Suppose we have a chemical reaction like ammonia gas reacts with hydrochloric acid HCl gas in presence of water, forming the ammonium ion, that is aqueous, plus chlorine, that is aqueous, ammonium chloride, that is forming. So the amount of heat generated delta H equal to minus 0.6 kilojoules per mole. So this cannot be involved in a direct way. So it involves, or it can be carried out in two ways. That is, let us take path 1, ammonia plus HCl forming ammonium chloride, that is gaseous, and delta H equal to minus 176.4 kilojoules per mole, and ammonium chloride in presence of water forming aqueous ammonia, that is delta H equal to 8 kilojoules. So in this way what happens? We have formed ammonia gas plus HCl gas plus water, this is cancelled, forming the ammonium ion in aqueous medium plus chloride ion in aqueous medium, and the total delta H equal to minus 159.6 kilojoules per mole. If we come across in another path, that is ammonia gas with water molecule forming ammonia, that is aqueous medium, and delta H is equal to minus 35.3 kilojoules. Similarly, HCl hydrochloric, that is gas in presence of water forming HCl aqueous medium, delta H equal to minus 72.7 kilojoules, and both ammonia aqueous plus hydrochloric acid aqueous forming ammonium aqueous plus chlorine minus aqueous, delta H equal to minus 51.6 kilojoules. So in total what happens? The ammonia gas, देखो, these are cancelled, ammonia gas plus HCl gas in presence of water forming ammonium aqueous plus chloride aqueous, and this total energy is equal to minus 159.6 kilojoule. So we have come to conclusion that the calculation either in path 1 or in path 2 or in any way, any steps, we can come at the total energy change is the sum of the multi-step process. The energy comes in the small of the multi-step processes. So this is the Hess law of heat of summation. So now we will stop here. This is the first law of thermodynamics. Next time we will process for second law.